The mockery of Earth, the Zorkan Federation, had ruled the galaxy for 5 centuries with an iron fist wrapped in plasma fire. Their massive dreadnoughts, each the size of a small moon, cast shadows across 12 star systems. The Zorkans believed themselves to be the perfect species, their grey-scaled skin reflecting the cold light of distant stars as they surveyed their vast empire from their crystal spires on Zor Prime. Commander Vextar stood before the massive holographic display in the Federation's war room, his 4 arms crossed behind his back as he studied the latest intelligence reports. The towering Zorkan military leader had personally overseen the conquest of 6 different civilizations, each one falling within days of first contact with Federation forces. His reputation for swift, brutal victories had earned him the nickname the Stellar Executioner among his peers. Today, however, something different appeared on his screens. A small, blue-green planet on the outer rim of known space had caught the Federation's attention. The 3rd planet in what the locals called the Sol System, inhabited by a species that referred to themselves as humans. Vextar's mandibles clicked with amusement as he reviewed the data. These humans had only achieved faster-than-light travel 50 years ago, stumbling into the galactic community like children wandering into an adult conversation. Their ships were crude fusion-powered vessels that moved at barely 1/10 the speed of Zorkan craft. Their weapons consisted of simple laser arrays that couldn't even penetrate basic Zorkan shielding. The war room's massive doors slid open. With a soft hiss, and Sub-Commander Korath entered, carrying a datapad containing the latest reports from the diplomatic front. The younger Zorkan's scales were still bright silver, unmarked by the battle scars that decorated Vextar's weathered hide. "Commander, the humans have sent another delegation," Korath reported, his voice carrying a barely concealed snicker. "They're requesting membership in the Galactic Trade Alliance again." Vextar's laugh was a harsh, grating sound that echoed off the crystalline walls. "These primitive creatures never learn, do they? What did we tell them last time? That they must first prove their worth by surrendering their homeworld's resources to Federation oversight." Korath replied, checking his notes. The human ambassador, a female named Sarah Chen, insisted that her people valued independence above all else. The concept of independence from Zorkan rule was so absurd that Vextar nearly dropped his ceremonial staff. For 500 years, every species in the galaxy had either bowed before Zorkan might, or been reduced to radioactive dust. There was no middle ground, no negotiation, no compromise. The Federation had established this order through superior technology, overwhelming firepower, and an absolute unwillingness to show mercy to those who resisted. Ambassador Sarah Chen represented everything the Zorkans found laughable about humanity. She was small by galactic standards, standing barely 5.5 feet tall, with soft pink skin unmarked by the battle scars that denoted status in Zorkan society. Her brown hair was neatly arranged, and her simple blue diplomatic uniform looked pathetically plain compared to the ornate armor worn by Federation officials. When Chen entered the Galactic Council chambers on Nexus Station, the assembled representatives from various species barely bothered to acknowledge her presence. The Zorkans had made it clear that humanity was beneath notice, and the other species had learned not to associate with those who lacked Federation approval. "Honored counselors," Chen began, her voice steady despite the obvious hostility in the room, "humanity comes before you once again to request consideration for membership in the Galactic Trade Alliance. We offer our planet's resources, our technological innovations, and our commitment to peaceful coexistence. Vextar leaned forward in his massive throne, his 4 eyes fixed on the small human with predatory interest. Ambassador Chen, your species continues to demonstrate a fundamental misunderstanding of galactic politics. You speak of offering resources as if you have a choice in the matter. You mention technological innovations as if your primitive fusion drives and chemical propulsion systems could interest civilizations that have mastered antimatter and quantum mechanics. The other council members erupted in laughter, their various forms of amusement creating a cacophony of sounds throughout the chamber. The insectoid hive queen chittered with delight, while the crystalline shard collective resonated with harmonic mockery. Even the usually reserved aquatic union delegates allowed bubbles of derision to escape their breathing apparatus. Chen's face flushed red, but she maintained her composure. Commander Vextar, I understand that humanity may seem insignificant compared to the great civilizations represented here. However, we believe that diversity of thought and approach can benefit all species. Our history shows that innovation often comes from unexpected sources. Innovation, Vextar's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of extreme amusement among his people. Your greatest technological achievement is barely controlled fusion. Your fastest ships require months to travel. Distances our vessels cover in days. Your most powerful weapons couldn't scratch the paint on a Zorkan fighter craft, let alone threaten a Federation dreadnought. The commander rose from his throne, his massive form casting a shadow over the human ambassador. Perhaps it's time for a practical demonstration of the difference between our species. The Federation has decided that Earth's resources would be better managed under our direct oversight. You have 72 hours to arrange for the complete surrender of your planetary government and the transfer of all military assets to Federation control. Sarah Chen's eyes widened, but her voice remained steady. Commander, surely we can reach some other arrangement. Humanity values its independence above all else. We're willing to negotiate trade agreements, technology sharing, even limited resource extraction rights, but we cannot accept complete subjugation. The laughter in the chamber grew even louder. The concept that this insignificant species would dare to negotiate with the Zorkan Federation was beyond comprehension. Several council members began placing bets on how quickly human resistance would crumble once the Federation fleet arrived. There is no negotiation, Vextar declared, his voice cutting through the noise like a plasma sword. In 72 hours, a Federation battle group will arrive at your homeworld. You will surrender unconditionally, or your cities will burn. Your choice is simple: submission or extinction. As Chen was escorted from the chamber, the Zorkan commander was already reviewing fleet deployment orders. The humans would require a significant show of force to understand their position. 200 warships would be more than sufficient, including 3 of the Federation's newest Star Destroyer-class vessels. Each ship carried enough firepower to glass an entire continent, and their combined might could reduce Earth to molten slag within hours. The Federation's confidence was not misplaced. Their technology had remained unchallenged for centuries. Their plasma cannons could punch through solid rock for miles. Their deflector shields could absorb direct hits from stellar flares. Their faster-than-light drives allowed them to cross the galaxy in weeks, rather than the centuries required by primitive civilizations. What the Zorkons didn't know was that humanity had spent the past 50 years since first contact studying every piece of Federation technology they could acquire through trade, espionage, and careful analysis of space debris from Zorkon military exercises. In hidden research facilities across Earth and its colonies, Human scientists had been working on projects that would make their fusion drives and laser weapons look like children's toys. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood in the deepest laboratory beneath the Swiss Alps, surrounded by machinery that seemed to bend reality itself. The quantum field generators hummed with barely contained energy, creating ripples in space-time that made the air itself shimmer like water. Her life's work, 20 years of theoretical physics pushed beyond all known limits, was finally ready for its first real test. Asterisk. The Zorkan fleet was already in hyperspace, racing toward Earth with the certainty of easy victory. Commander Vextar sat in his command chair aboard the flagship Stellar Doom, reviewing the battle plans with the casual attitude of someone planning a training exercise. His subordinates were already discussing how to divide Earth's resources among the various Federation worlds. Meanwhile, in Earth's orbital shipyards, vessels that looked nothing like the crude fusion ships the galaxy had seen were being prepared for launch. These craft incorporated technology that existed only in theoretical papers until Dr. Rodriguez's breakthrough. Humanity was about to reveal that sometimes the student could surprise the teacher in ways that defied all expectations. The 72-hour deadline was approaching, and the galaxy watched with amusement as Earth prepared for what everyone assumed would be the shortest war in galactic history. The Zorkan Federation had never lost a battle, never retreated from a fight, never shown mercy to those who defied them. Earth's resistance seemed like nothing more than a brief delay before inevitable conquest. But in the depths of space, sensors were beginning to detect energy signatures that didn't match any known technology. The Federation's intelligence networks were reporting anomalous readings from the Sol system, readings that their best scientists couldn't explain. Something was happening on Earth, something that challenged 5 centuries of Zorkan technological supremacy. The stage was set for a confrontation that would reshape the galaxy's understanding of power, technology, and the dangerous assumption that primitive meant helpless. Asterisk. The Phantom strike the Zorkan. Battle fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system like a wall of metal and malice. 200 warships arranged themselves in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming with the deadly beauty of weapons designed to end civilizations. The massive flagship Stellar Doom led the armada, its command tower rising like a spear point toward the distant blue-green dot. That was humanity's homeworld, Commander. Vextar stood on the bridge of his flagship, his forearms clasped behind, his back as he surveyed the tactical displays showing Earth's pathetic defenses. Long-range sensors detected barely 50 human vessels arranged in a loose defensive formation around their planet. The ships appeared to be the same crude, few craft that the galaxy had come to associate with human technological limitations. Sub-Commander Korath Vextar called, his voice carrying the confidence of certain victory. Deploy the fleet in standard conquest formation. Target their orbital stations first, then their planetary defense systems. I want this over within the hour. The younger Zorkan officer nodded eagerly, his fingers dancing over the holographic control systems. Yes, Commander. Shall we demand their surrender first, as per Federation protocol? Vextar's mandibles clicked with amusement. No, let them witness the futility of resistance firsthand. Sometimes a demonstration speaks louder than words. The Federation fleet began its advance, massive engines pushing the enormous vessels toward Earth at speeds that would have been impossible for human technology to achieve. The first wave consisted of 50 heavy cruisers, each one larger than Earth's most massive space station. Their plasma cannons were already charging, energy readings climbing toward levels that could shatter mountains. On Earth, in the hidden command center beneath Geneva, Admiral Marcus Stone watched the approaching enemy through displays that showed capabilities far beyond what the Zorkans suspected. The grizzled veteran of humanity's colonial conflicts had been chosen to lead Earth's defense, not just for his tactical brilliance, but for his ability to keep secrets that could change the course of galactic history. Dr. Rodriguez, Stone called to the woman standing beside him, her hands moving over controls that seemed to manipulate reality itself. "Are your quantum displacement systems ready?" Alina Rodriguez nodded, her eyes reflecting the strange light emanating from her equipment. "All 50 vessels are equipped with the new drive systems, Admiral. The field generators are stable, and the navigation computers have been programmed with quantum-level precision. We're ready to show the galaxy what human innovation really looks like." The first Zorkan plasma barrage lit up the darkness of space, like artificial stars. The energy beams, each one carrying enough power to vaporize a city block, struck Earth's orbital defense platforms with devastating effect. 3 space stations exploded instantly, their debris creating expanding clouds of molten metal and shattered dreams. Commander Vexstar watched the destruction with satisfaction. This was proceeding exactly as every other conquest in Federation history. The primitive species would realize their helplessness, their resistance would crumble, and another world would bow before Zorkon supremacy. Then something impossible happened. The human fleet simply vanished. One moment, 50 crude fusion-powered vessels were arranged in defensive formation around Earth. The next moment, empty space stared back at the Zorkon sensors. No energy signatures, no debris, no trace that the ships had ever existed. Korath Vexstar's voice cracked like a whip across the bridge. "Where did they go? Ships don't just disappear." The sub-commander frantically worked his controls, scanning across all frequencies and sensor ranges. "I don't understand, Commander. They were there, and then they weren't. No hyperspace signatures, no explosion debris, nothing that indicates destruction or retreat." Before Vexstar could respond, reality twisted around the Federation flagship. Space itself seemed to fold, and suddenly a human vessel materialized directly above the Stellar Doom's command tower. The smaller ship, barely a tenth the size of the massive Zorkan dreadnought, unleashed a focused energy beam that sliced through the flagship's primary shield generators. Like a knife through paper, the human ship vanished again before the Zorkon weapons could target it, leaving behind only sparking wreckage and the impossible reality that their shields had been penetrated by technology that shouldn't exist. Across the Zorkan fleet, similar attacks were occurring with clockwork precision. Human vessels appeared from nowhere, struck critical systems with surgical accuracy, and disappeared before return fire could be coordinated. The Federation's perfectly organized battle formation began to dissolve into chaos as commanders tried to fight an enemy that refused to follow the established rules of space combat. Dr. Rodriguez smiled as she watched the tactical display from her command center deep beneath Earth's surface. "Admiral Stone, the quantum displacement drives are performing beyond our most optimistic projections. Our ships are able to fold space-time in ways that make traditional sensors and targeting systems completely useless. The quantum technology that Alina had spent 20 years developing was based on humanity's unique approach to theoretical physics. While other species had focused on brute force applications of energy, humans had pursued elegance and efficiency. The result was a drive system that didn't move ships through space, but rather moved space around the ships, allowing instantaneous travel across vast distances without the energy signatures that conventional faster-than-light drives produced. Asterisk. Commander Vexter's confidence was evaporating as quickly as his fleet's tactical advantage. His weapons officers couldn't lock onto targets that appeared and disappeared at will. His defensive systems were designed to protect against conventional attacks, not strikes that materialized inside his formation without warning. All vessels implement random, evasive patterns, he commanded, his voice betraying the first hints of desperation. Deploys sensor drones throughout the battle zone. These humans must have some kind of cloaking technology. But it wasn't cloaking. Technology that made the human fleet impossible to track. The quantum displacement drives were literally removing the ships from normal spacetime, placing them in parallel dimensions for microseconds before returning them to exact coordinates, chosen by their navigation computers. 2 external sensors. The ships simply ceased to exist between one moment and the next. The human vessel, HSS Defiant, materialized directly in front of the Zorkan heavy cruiser Cosmic Render, its quantum-enhanced weapons systems fully charged. Captain Sarah Martinez, a veteran of the Mars Colonial Defense Force, had volunteered to test the new technology in actual combat conditions. Her ship was one of humanity's newest designs, built specifically around Dr. Rodriguez's revolutionary drive. System: fire all weapons, Martinez commanded, her voice steady despite the magnitude of what she was attempting. The Defiant's energy beams, enhanced by the same quantum field manipulation that powered their displacement drive, struck the Zorkan cruiser's engine section with devastating effect. The massive Federation vessel's reactor containment failed, creating a brief new star in the darkness of space. The Defiant vanished again before the dying cruiser's automated defense systems could respond, leaving behind only expanding plasma and the growing realization among Zorkan commanders that they were facing something completely outside their experience. Sub-Commander Karath's voice was high with panic as he reported to his commander, "Sir, we've lost 17 vessels in the past 10 minutes. Our sensors can't track the human ships, our weapons can't target them, and they're systematically destroying our fleet piece by piece." Vextar-esque scaled fists clenched around his command chairs, armrests hard enough to leave permanent impressions in the metal. 5 centuries of Zorkan military doctrine were proving useless against an enemy that had somehow leapfrogged past every technological milestone. The Federation had achieved. The truth was even more remarkable than the Zorkans could have imagined. Dr. Rodriguez's research hadn't just created a new type of faster-than-light drive. It had unlocked the fundamental principles of space-time manipulation, allowing human engineers to build weapons, shields, and propulsion systems that operated on quantum mechanical principles rather than conventional physics. The human fleet continued its devastating attack with the precision of a surgical strike team. Each ship would appear at the optimal position to inflict maximum damage on critical Zorkan systems, deliver its payload with perfect accuracy, and vanish before enemy fire could be brought to bear. The Federation vessels, designed to fight conventional battles against conventional enemies, found themselves completely outmatched by tactics that seemed to violate the basic laws of physics. Admiral Stone watched the battle unfold with grim satisfaction. "Dr. Rodriguez, your quantum displacement technology has given us the element of surprise we needed. But can our ships maintain this level of operation for an extended engagement?" Alina checked her instruments, noting the energy readings from the quantum field generators powering the human fleet. "The systems are stable, Admiral. We can maintain quantum displacement operations for several more hours if necessary. However, I don't think the Zorkons will last that long. She was right. Commander Vexstar was already receiving reports of system failures throughout his fleet. The Federation's mighty war machines, built to intimidate through sheer size and firepower, were being methodically dismantled by an enemy they couldn't see coming, couldn't track while present, and couldn't pursue when departing. The final blow came when the human flagship, HSS Unity, materialized directly inside the Stellar Doom's hangar bay. Admiral Stone himself was aboard the Unity, determined to deliver a message that the Zorkan Federation would never forget. The human ship's quantum-enhanced weapons systems were aimed directly at the Zorkan flagship's reactor core, a killing shot that would end the battle in spectacular fashion. But instead of firing, Admiral Stone opened a communication channel to Vexstar's bridge. "Commander, this is Admiral Marcus Stone of the Earth Defense Force. As you can see, we have the capability to destroy your flagship and the remainder of your fleet at will. I'm offering you one chance to withdraw from our system and return to Federation space with the survivors of your armada." Vexstar stared at the human ship floating impossibly inside his own vessel, its weapons trained on systems that could obliterate everything within 1,000 kilometers. The proud Zorkan commander, who had never known defeat, was face to face with technology that made his most advanced weapons look like primitive tools. "How?" was all he could manage to say. "Human ingenuity, Commander. We've spent 50 years studying your technology, learning from your methods, and developing our own solutions to the challenges of space warfare. You mistook our simple fusion drives and basic weapons for the limits of our capability. That was your first mistake. Your second mistake was assuming that primitive meant helpless. The Zorkan fleet began its retreat within the hour, limping away from Earth with less than half their original number. The survivors would return to Federation space with tales of human technology that seemed impossible, of weapons that struck without warning, and ships that could appear and disappear at will. News of the Federation's defeat spread across the galaxy. Faster than light itself, the mighty Zorkan Empire, undefeated for 5 centuries, had been humbled by a species they had dismissed as primitive. Earth's request for membership in the Galactic Trade Alliance was approved unanimously, and humanity took its place among the galaxy's great powers with the respect that came from demonstrating strength when it mattered most. Dr. Alina Rodriguez stood in her laboratory, surrounded by the quantum field generators that had changed the course of galactic history. Her 20 years of research had not only saved Earth from conquest, but had announced to the galaxy that humanity was ready to take its place among the stars as equals, not supplicants. The age of human expansion was about to begin, and the galaxy would never be the same. Asterisk.